In the annals of human conflict, some wars are defined by their politics, others by their ideologies. But one war stands apart, defined by a scale of bloodshed so vast it is almost incomprehensible. This is not the story of a battle or a campaign. This is the story of a cataclysm that reshaped a nation and claimed the lives of tens of millions. A war the world has largely forgotten. This video contains discussions of historical violence and human suffering. It is intended for educational purposes to shed light on a pivotal, yet often overlooked, chapter in world history. Our aim is to understand the causes and consequences of this monumental tragedy. Our story begins not on a battlefield, but in the mind of a failed scholar. Hong Xiuquan, after repeatedly failing the brutal civil service exams, suffered a feverish breakdown. He emerged with an incredible claim. He was the younger brother of Jesus Christ, sent by God to rid China of demons, a term he would use for the ruling Qing dynasty. China in the 1840s was a powder keg. The Qing dynasty, weakened by foreign interference like the Opium Wars, was seen as corrupt and ineffective. To the millions of impoverished peasants, Hong's message was a lightning bolt. It offered not just spiritual salvation, but a promise of a heavenly kingdom on earth, the Taiping Rebellion. The Taiping Heavenly Kingdom wasn't just a rebel state, it was a radical social revolution. They instituted policies that were centuries ahead of their time and others that were brutally strict. This was the paradox of the Taiping, a movement that promised liberation but enforced it with absolute, often fanatical control. Their signature order? For all men to grow their hair long, leading their Qing enemies to call them the long hairs. In 1851, the rebellion erupted. The Taiping armies, fueled by religious fervor, swept northwards. In 1853, they captured the major city of Nanjing, making it their capital. What followed was over a decade of stalemate and some of the most brutal urban warfare the world had ever seen. Cities like Nanjing and Wuhan became charnel houses. Sieges lasted for years. When a city fell, the consequences were often apocalyptic. Mass executions, starvation, and disease were the true weapons of this war. Historical accounts describe rivers red with blood and piles of bones outside city walls. By 1864, the rebellion was crumbling. The Qing dynasty, with the help of regional armies and even some Western advisors who now saw the Taiping as a greater threat, finally recaptured Nanjing. Hong Xiuquan died, and a final bloody massacre marked the end of his heavenly kingdom. Why is this the bloodiest civil war in human history, not a household name? The answer lies in politics. For the victorious Qing dynasty, it was a shameful episode of weakness. For the West, it was an internal Chinese affair, overshadowed by their own wars. The true scale of the death toll, estimated between 20 and 30 million, primarily from famine and plague, was a tragedy too vast to easily comprehend. The Taiping Rebellion was more than a war. It was a collision of faith, desperation, and a crumbling empire. It demonstrated the terrifying power of millenarian ideology and the horrific human cost of total war. Its legacy is a somber reminder of the forces that can tear a society apart, and a testament to the millions whose stories were lost to the river of history. What other forgotten chapters of history should we explore? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to continue this journey into the past with us, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.